abruptly falls on a table. Perplexed, the arrogant adventurer asks Rondo if he is drunk or what. He notices the sword emitting a dark red aura. The arrogant adventurer thinks that Rondo must have sold it and is surprised to see it in his hands. Rondo awakens and attacks the arrogant adventurer, exacerbating a deep injury. Possessed by the sword's curse, the Rondo switches target to Alicia. Rude jumps in and dodges its attack on his borrowed sword. Rude wonders what is up with Rondo. The diners are furious seeing Rondo causing a commotion when they are eating, and most of them try to halt the fight by grabbing Rondo by his arms. Alicia attempts to use magic to stop possessed Rondo, though it might destroy the wall behind him, therefore she apologizes to the manager beforehand. Despite Alicia's fierce offense, Rondo gets back on his feet. Rude asks Alicia if she held back. She replies that an adventurer shouldn't be able to stand after being struck by something of that level. When Rondo begins sprinting toward our adventurers, Rude also charges at him to prevent him from causing any more damage. Alicia asks the manager, who is also the chef, to heal the injured, that is, if he can use healing magic. Rude sees madness when he checks Rondo's status through his appraisal, which is normally marked as normal. The Rondo Rude is currently fighting is different compared to the one he knows. His stats are way higher. Alicia cooks up a magic charge and asks Rude to move aside. She reveals she is going all out this time. However, this time, the sword absorbs her attack. Alicia realizes that the sword Rondo is equipped with is cursed. Much to their astonishment, Rondo also appears to be leveling up by absorbing magic. The bond of sword symbiosis begins to take hold of his arm. Rondo then jumps at him, and although he manages to block it, the weight Rondo puts behind his swing is several times greater than his previous ones. When Rude finds his legs exposed, he grazes his leg, but Rude notices that the red and black tentacles-like things are closing up his wounds. Alicia can't support him with magic either, as it might get absorbed by the sword again. If she wants to help Rude, she thinks she has to look for an opening and deliver a decisive blow. When Alicia and Rudy are planning to kill Rondo, Rigard comes out of the restaurant's destroyed wall and requests they don't kill his friend. He admits doing terrible things to Rude, but for him who couldn't succeed and could only look down on those below him, Magnus and Rondo were his only solace. He wholeheartedly requests they should spare his life. Rude says that he would try his best. Rude informs Alicia that he is going to use the substitute and demands she let him fight for a minute. He remembers it took him about 10 seconds to activate the substitute skill on Alicia. The problem in this fight is how is he going to keep Rondo under control while getting rid of the curse. Rude is once again attacked by Rondo, but he barely manages to block it. When it comes to retaliation, he just holds the magic sword back so the sword won't absorb the magic. He uses principles of the earth magic to confine Rondo's movement. He believes he can get rid of Rondo's curse the same way he did with Alicia, that is, if the cause of his state is a curse. In the critical moment, Rudy uses substitute skills. The substitute ability makes Rondo regain control over his consciousness. He requests Rude to save him. Rude's efforts to remove the curse from taking possession of Rondo's body fail. When the substitute skill cancels out, he is thrown back. Rude realizes that it wasn't Rondo who rejected his skill. It was most likely that sword's will. He guesses he could have a chance at winning if he was to weaken the curse a bit more. Rude uses principles of fire magic to weaken the curse, only to realize that Rondo broke through the restraints, though he managed to remove the curse from his left arm. With that being the case, he decides to attack outside the range of his right arm. However, that isn't going to be easy, as the possessed Rondo is showcasing incredible movement. But more important than that is how he absorbed his magic. This somehow gets far worse than Rude had imagined. The two-headed curse, Graham, takes over Rondo. The body that belonged to Rondo now isn't his anymore. This guarantees that he couldn't be saved anymore. Rude uses the appraisal to evaluate the incarnation's level, but it doesn't show anything, other than his condition. Now, in its full potential, the monster continues the fight from where it left off previously. Just a few moments ago, Rude was stunned at how fast half-possessed Rondo was. But this new transformation of his is multiple times faster and more agile than his previous. Expectedly, Rude isn't able to suppress the curse's attacks. He notices that Rondo isn't making any unnecessary movements, just like a veteran. Out of the blue, the possessed Rondo jumps over Rude, but Alicia steps in at the right moment, and she throws a magical attack that she had already charged. Even though she normally operates from the rear, she doesn't miss the chance to strike the monster with a direct kick. This is then followed by another magic attack that sends him flying. Rude thanks her and says that he didn't know she could also fight at close range. Alicia remarks that a wizard who becomes useless as soon as the enemy gets close is nothing but a burden to others. Since he isn't an opponent they can take lightly, she demands Rude change his mindset, because Rondo's curse has already progressed too much. The only way to stop Rondo is by destroying his heart. Rude understands the mission and stands up to annihilate the curse. Meanwhile, Rigard and Magnus are panicking after hearing Alicia talk about the plan to destroy Rondo's heart. Despite the fight being a handicap, it still is in the curse's favor. Even with two people, they can't create a decisive opening. He wonders if having two heads gives it a wider field of vision. He decides to try it out and asks Alicia to back off for a second. Rude uses magic to create smog around the place. Alicia approves of Rude's plan because the curse can't absorb it. Rude utilizes the best of this moment and leaves a shallow wound on the curse. Alicia then uses Earth Attribute Spirit Magic and summons Nomia. Although she impales the curse through magic, it only grazes the heart. The curse attempts to retaliate, but Rigard and Magnus jump in to stop him. Rigard shouts that he will stop him even if Rondo has to embrace death. He says that it has to be three of them. The party is made up of the three. In the last-ditch effort, Magnus finally impales Rondo's heart. It had to be Magnus, Rondo's close friend who freed him from the misery of the curse. They are grieving over their friend's death, who couldn't have been saved. Rude picks up the cursed sword and wonders what to do with it. Even if he were to hide it, the next victim could appear the very next day, so that's out of the options. The sword has an eye placed a little over the handle. When the sword shows murderous intent, it screams kill. Rude tells it to shut it because such noises don't work on him. Suddenly, the Bologna Branch Guildmaster Lankars arrives at the scene to check the gravity of the situation. He finds Rondo's dead body on the ground and glances at the sword that is currently in Rude's hands. He demands being enlightened about everything that happened there and suggests they should go to the guild. After learning everything about the curse and why Rondo's death was their only option to end the curse, Lankars comments that he is sure that other adventurers would be convinced by Magnus's testimony. After this, he asks Rude if he feels anything equipping the cursed sword. Rude says that curses don't work on him due to his abnormal status nullification. So long as he holds on to this sword, there won't be another victim. Lankars approves of him having the sword, but in exchange, if he is ever possessed by the cursed sword, they will do whatever it takes to stop him. Rude also agrees to his terms. He tells Rude and Alicia how grateful he is that these two were able to contain this incident, and he also extends his condolences to Magnus and Rigurd. After this, Lankars says that he doesn't think anyone will have time to relax because the number of monsters outside the labyrinth has been increasing at an abnormal rate, and the adventurers standing behind him were also called up for this reason. These monsters have come from the recently found Abellio Labyrinth, and according to the reports from the survey team, there is a certain monster inside that labyrinth that is behind this unprecedented event. This monster, Miasma Dragon Basilista, is estimated to be level 70 or above. Its fighting prowess alone isn't something to be trifled with, but the biggest problem is that it spreads high concentrations of miasma. It is speculated that the Miasma Basilista releases stimulate other monsters, causing even more of them to be released from the dungeon, and as a result, the survey team has suffered some losses. The people who were involved in this mission are undergoing treatment. Lankars fears that if things continue like this, it won't just end with the monsters. Its miasma will end up sleeping outside the labyrinth, and it will cause catastrophic damage to the area. This was the reason he was looking for Rude. Rude says that he understands. But first, he demands to meet with the remaining survey team members. Lankars takes him and Alicia to the medical ward, where Rude uses substitute skills and treats one of the survey team members, taking Lankars aback with his unique skill. When Lankars says that he never knew Rude could nullify the abnormal condition, Rude reveals that it only works if the person he is treating doesn't reject him. After witnessing the condition of survey team members, he tells Lankars that only he and Alicia would be participating in this Miasma Dragon subjugation. He explains that the fewer people he has to protect in the labyrinth, the easier it will be to move around. Moreover, fighting strong opponents is something he aspires to do. Lankarsi says that he understands and will entrust the subjugation of the Miasma Dragon Basilista in his hands. Since it's already night, they decide to get a good night's sleep and prepare themselves. On their way, Alicia asks if they are going to be all right with just the two of them. He replies that he can use his skills without reservations if there aren't any people around. After this, he apologizes for dragging her into this. Alicia ridicules him for saying something gibberish and replies that if he had said something like he was going alone, she would have given him a beating. They are a party, and the two of them are enough to save everyone. Rude and Alicia have made it to the Abellio Labyrinth's lowest floor. The first monster species they are up against are level 20 Bob-Goblin, which possesses physical boost and club mastery. Expectedly, they are among the monsters that are affected by the miasma. Despite their levels and stats, they aren't more than just ordinary goblins for Rude, who cuts one of the monsters in two halves with a single blow. Rude wasn't told that the floor they are on right now would also be affected by the miasma. Alicia says that the monster existing on this floor just shows how quickly the miasma is spreading. Even her purification items aren't effectively purifying the miasma. Rude thinks that many of the monsters on the next floor aren't alive anymore. Just to confirm if Alicia wants to proceed or not, he asks her if she is willing to continue. She responds positively and is sure that his attributes might not work against the monster. Moreover, she is confident that she can land a few good hits. even if close-range combat is inevitable. Another reason why she is resolute on not leaving is because previously she was forced to leave her friends, which led her to a traumatic experience. Rude apologizes to Alicia for making her remember something unpleasant. He then uses the substitute skill to extract the miasma building up on Alicia. Rude reveals that he can remove the effects of the miasma whenever they make contact, but as soon as he lets her go, it will start to slowly build up again. Alicia suggests in that case, they should just hold hands and keep going like that. She reveals that she can't see her feet that well because of all the miasma, so on top of the substitute, he will be escorting her too. Their primary target is just 5 floors away, so they continue with their mission and proceed to the next floors. Soon after, the adventurers make it to the middle floors of the Abellio labyrinth. The deeper they go, the thicker the miasma gets. Rude uses echolocation and finds 2 monsters ahead. Alicia guesses that if they can survive in this dense miasma, then those monsters must be pretty formidable. Rude adds that these monsters seem like the type that he has never seen before. Rude shows the desire to fight these monsters, even though there is a detour. Alicia asks him why he wants to fight the monsters. Is it because he wants to eat them? He feels somewhat offended by her comment and says that it's a bit out of curiosity. He wants to test out the cursed sword, Graham, before they square off against the miasma dragon. The 2 monsters, Rolling Beetle, are level 33 and have a good number of skills. These include Steel Body, which Rude already acquired from killing a different species of spiders, Revolution, Poison Resistance, Miasma Resistance. No wonder these monsters weren't affected by the miasma. And lastly, the Paralysis Resistance. When Rude gets the chance to start the fight, he activates Principles of Earth Magic and destroys the platform the Rolling Beetles were crawling on, only to realize that this didn't work. The beetle curls up its body and starts rolling forward, targeting our adventurers. He asks Alicia to do something about it. She uses Nomia and commands her to stop the rolling beetle. Alicia succeeds in stopping it, but says that she can't halt it for very long and needs Rude to assist her. Rude gets back to being the tank of his party and draws out the cursed sword. He daunts the sword to not break on him and attempts to kill the monster in the blink of an eye. The cursed sword turns out to be so sharp that the stone cover that Nomia set up is also sliced into 2 halves. However, the monster isn't dead yet. Its scales were too shallow that not even a cursed blade was able to cut it. Rude believes that the cursed sword doesn't have enough power, so he asks Alicia to charge it with her magic. When the blade is charged with the magic of an S-rank adventurer, it unleashes its true power, annihilating the monster in mere seconds. Witnessing the death of one of its kind, the other beetle begins trembling in fear. Rude brings that monster's story to an end too with just a single hit. Rude praises Alicia for having pristine magic control. As they celebrate their victory, Rude once again grabs her hand and enables substitute skill to remove building up miasma. After this, he asks Alicia if he can have some more time. Absorbing the magic power didn't really restore the mana in his body, so he wanted to eat the monsters. He cooks up the rolling beetle and starts feasting out. Alicia asks him how he felt using the cursed sword. He explains that once he absorbs enough magic power, his physical abilities greatly improve. Alicia believes that if he pours his mana into the cursed sword, it won't break, unlike his previous blade. He wonders how effective this sword is going to be against the miasma dragon, which according to eyewitnesses' reports is as big as a tree. He divulges that his previous sword was better in terms of weight behind the attack. Suddenly, the cursed sword starts demanding something. Confused, Rude asks to confirm if it is meat that the sword is asking. The sword then explicitly asks for the magic stone. Rude takes out a magic stone from his bag and before giving it to the cursed sword, he mixes some of his blood into it. The sword gobbles up the magic stone and grows greatly in size, much to their surprise. Alicia inquires of him about how he knows the magic stone was what the sword was calling for. Rude tells her that the sword communicated with him directly into his head. He wonders if it got annoyed because he called it weak. Rude informs Alicia that he has pretty much figured out how to use the cursed sword. The adventurers seem to have made great progress. They are just a floor above where the miasma dragon was last spotted. Just when they mention the miasma dragon, they get to hear it roaring. But it's so unfathomably loud that even the ceiling above them is about to collapse. Rude suggests they should support the ceiling with earth magic, but Alicia does not approve of Rude's plan. She explains that if they try to protect themselves, the stairs will end up getting blocked, and they will lose their chances to fight the miasma dragon. Since it has come to this, she decides to break through all the extra floors and reach the floor they were headed for, the miasma dragon floor. After a rough adventure, our adventurers safely make it somewhere. They try to check the place around, but it's too dark. Rude uses his thermal search and discovers what is creating the mist. It is the miasma dragon, Basilista. They were told that the monster was level 70, but it was level 75 in reality. Basilista has every great attribute, but his agility is weak for a monster his level, though his vitality is over 500. The miasma dragon carries a wide range of incredible and rare skills. Rude also catches a glimpse of its fangs and claws, which are poisoned. But more importantly, the dragon has already noticed them, and this isn't a good sign. The mere glimpse of the monster sends them into a panic. Alicia asks Rude what kind of magic resistance this monster possesses. He reveals that fire, earth, lightning, and darkness won't be effective. She chooses to use other attributes. The miasma dragon once again roars, but our adventurers are ready this time. Rude wanted to keep his distance and watch from afar until he figured out the monster's attack pattern, but everything happened in just seconds. Moreover, he isn't sure how long can Alicia last in this thick miasma. He wants to end this as soon as possible. Like any mythical dragon, the miasma dragon shoots fire and nearly takes out Rude. However, Rude uses Flash Step and dodges the attack. The intensity of the attack melts the pillar and floor. Alicia, operating from the rear, calls out Sylphide, who uses wind magic and gets Rude closer to the miasma dragon. At almost the speed of sound, Rude manages to land a scratch on the dragon's skin, but is unable to fully penetrate it due to its thick skin. He is convinced that his sword and the magic he uses aren't compatible with it. Even Alicia's spirit magic isn't making any difference. The monster remains unscathed. While they are preparing their next move, the dragon throws the quills at Rude and Alicia by wagging its tail. Rude and Alicia both blocked that attack with steel body and spirit magic, respectively. They wonder how they are going to deal with the dragon. It has high defensive power and even has various long-range attacks. Alicia asks for Rudy to buy her some time, and she reveals she is about to use her special move. While she is preparing to unleash her special move, Rude uses principles of earth magic and attempts to deal as much damage as he can in close range. Not only is he taking offense, but is also simultaneously defending Alicia. Alicia has left herself completely defenseless and is relying on Rude. She has to make up for his share and pour all of his magic power into this one attack. She summons all of her elementals, Salam, Urdale, Nomia, and Wakian, and continues to work on that special attack. Meanwhile, Rude is going all out fighting her and then tracking back to protect her. Soon she informs Rude that she is done preparing. He needs to get out of the way. Alicia launches her special move, Spirit's Quintet, which brightens the entire room. When the smog disappears, the monster is still standing despite all the injuries it has received. She failed to take it down and remarks that if she was at her full strength, she could have finished it in one shot. Rude calls her Spirit's Quintet attack a nice shot, and he tells her that it's his turn now. Alicia used all of her magic power unleashing her previous attack, and now can't help Rude. Rude tells her to not worry about anything, and that she should use the remaining magic power to protect herself. He says that he will be dealing with the monster from here on. To exhibit how terrifying it can be, the monster roars and shakes up the entire dungeon. Rude also uses the roar skill he acquired from the Minotaur to show the dragon that he isn't just a puny human. Previously, he absorbed the dark magic protecting Alicia, and it had a whole lot of mana infused into it. At his current, Rude's power is overflowing. All confident and eager to fight, he charges at the monster and cuts through the scales that are on its arm. Despite having an unfathomably fast acceleration and agility, Rude realizes that his sword is becoming less and less effective. The mana absorbed by Graham is gradually disappearing. Just when Rude is slowing down, the monster exploits his miasma wave attack. Rude may be resistant to all sorts of miasma attacks, but he is still being moved by the impact of the wave. The monster wags its tail and throws the quills at Rude. After calculating the trajectory of the quills, he realizes that dodging these spikes is quite possible, but what's impossible is dodging the follow-up move from the dragon. Regardless of the zero possibility of survival, he uses Flash Step, hoping to escape the attacking range. Unfortunately, he fails to flee from the range of monster's attacking range, and as a result, he is hit by its claw. Just before getting hit, he activates Steel Body, though he still can't escape the impact and is sent flying into the far corner of the room. He managed to figure out the distance he traveled during the Flash Step, but was still overpowered. Seeing himself in a desperate situation, Rude recalls the time when he was up against the Minotaur, the time he nearly died. But there's a huge difference between him now and the Rude from back then. He doesn't give up, and once again keeps on going. When the monster is about to use its breath, he decides to just not keep dodging it anymore, because he doesn't want this fight to turn into a battle of attrition, which guarantees his loss. He activates thread manipulation and plans on using those threads as the slingshots. He launches himself like a human projectile on the slingshot, whereas the miasma dragon exhales fire to counter Rude's attack. Rude can't do anything about the heat coming from its breath, but he can absorb the mana inside its breath. He thinks that if his fire resistance is enough to withstand its breath, then he can strengthen the weapon using his mana and combine it with the mana Graham has absorbed thus far, releasing it all at once. His skin starts to burn from the heat produced by the miasma dragon's breath. In a critical moment, Alicia uses some of her remaining magic and throws water at Rude to protect him from the heat. When he gets the chance to strike, he doesn't miss it. Rude's ultimate